Aloha and welcome everybody back to another wonderful episode here of my Soul Talk. And I'm so excited because I have Judy Wong with me. This is probably we're going to go into a little bit of my ancestral energy. We'll talk about that in a second. Judy is an international educator, energy accelerator, transformation coach, consultant, and international speaker. She is Mind Valley certified in hypnotherapy, a certified Silva method practitioner and best-selling author. Welcome, Judy. It's so amazing to have you here.
So please, I mean, you can't imagine. I really have been looking forward to this so much. I mean, I just love your energy. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Why don't we get started? Because you were already telling me that before you were working as what you are today, there was a different lifetime. How was that? How did you transition? Like how did that happen?
Hmm. Everybody thinks they all wanted to know what my fountain of youth was. I had friends who said, "How is it that you managed to get younger in the last 20 years?" And we got older. And I'm like, oh, it's not about a fountain of youth. It's about a fountain of life. And that's something I figured out about 15 years ago. Um, everybody thinks, oh, look at Judy. She's so successful. She looks so young and she has it all so together. That wasn't always, you know. I mean, 15 years ago, I was going through yet another, what we always call crash and burns, right? And I had to start thinking about a lot of things because I was a single mom in my late 50s, trying to put three children who I had very late in life through college all by myself. I had no full-time job anymore. I was being faced with possibly having to put myself back to college so I could finish my degrees finally, because my college education was derailed, not by me, um, when I was 18, 17, almost 18 years old. It was derailed by a mother who was not a mother. Uh, some people are meant to be parents, some people are not. She was not. And she did something not nice, which sabotaged me finishing my schooling. But I went to work for years and years as a teacher anyway, because I love working with kids and I love working with people. And for me, my whole life has always been about doing for others. You know, whatever whatever was me, I would do for others. But here I was 15 years ago, I was faced with this single mom thing. And all I could think of is I can't face another crash and burn. I can't. And I mean, honestly, if I could have walked off the face of the earth at that time, I would have done it. But something in me was not willing to go. And I've never broken a promise to anybody in my life. And I had promised my three sons, because of the kind of mother I had, I promised them on their day of birth that I would always be here for them. And I realized if I did what I wanted to do, I would have broken my promise. So, like most people my age at that time, I, you know, get it together. Let's go find some money, and I bought all the business in the boxes and stuff, and none of that crap worked. And I tried all of the, programs everybody said to do because everybody was telling me I was getting older. And none of that crap worked either. And out of frustration, I just started digging deep about me. One of the things that I remembered was one of the first times I had a pretty intense crash and burn. I was much younger, and I was getting divorced from as I love what Judy Collins says, my starter husband. Um, and I was left homeless, jobless, and $20,000 in his debt. And I remember thinking, can't get any worse than this. And I just give up on life. Why bother? And somebody told me back then, these are things. Life gives you things, but things are just things. And they could take away all the things in the world from you. But the one thing they can never take away is you. And if you were able to get things before, you can get things again. Because that's you. And you can never be changed. And I remember thinking about this 15 years ago. And I thought, well, if that's true, and it was true then, I was able to rise again, higher, bigger, brighter, better than I ever did before, then maybe it's true. Let's try something else. And I started digging deep. I started seeking out how to heal myself. I started using which at one time I thought they were curses, but I realized as I got older, they were actually gifts. Gifts that I had that I never understood what they were at first when I was very small. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s years ago that my mother, during one of her hateful rants, finally told me a story. So I didn't know my grandmother. She died shortly after I was born. And the only thing I knew about her was that my mother hated her almost as much as she hated me. That's all I knew about her. And when I was in my 30s, my mother, during one of her crazy, hateful rants, told me a story about my grandmother. And that's when I realized my grandmother was a clairvoyant, a real one. She wasn't a shingle hanging, she wasn't a card carrying, shingle hanging clairvoyant. She was a real one. And pretty much the whole family, like most people around psychics, just tagged her as crazy and ignored her for the most part. Except evidently there was a prediction she made that bothered her, and it came true, or at least it was a little more obvious that it came true, which was she predicted the passing of somebody who was their neighbor. And my mother blamed my grandmother because she was a child. She was only about 12 years old. She didn't know any better. So she assumed my grandmother caused it, which she did not. It was a young lady who got hit by a bus. And my grandmother said when and where, and she was right. And I realized maybe that's why my mother hated me so much, because I reminded her of my grandmother. When I was very small, really small, I used to hear things and see things. And I remember I said it to somebody, I was 2, 3 years old. I said it to somebody one time, a grown up, about what I was seeing. And they all told me to shut up. I was crazy, just imaginary friends. Except these imaginary friends never went away. And I never knew who the imaginary friend was. I just knew there was somebody there who, when I needed, always appeared and would walk beside me and keep me safe. I grew up in the city of New York during a time when it was pretty funky and pretty dangerous. And I was a latchkey kid. I was one of the original type people who was a latchkey kid. My mother worked full time, my father worked full time, and I had a key to get home. And I was very small. I still am very small. And being Asian and in America, even though I'm probably more American than most people, my family genuinely has been in New York since the 1800s. And
I was going to ask how many generations have you been in the US?
Forever. My
Mm.
family has been in here in New York City since the 1800s, literally.
Mhm.
And so, like, when people say, "What are you?" I said, "I'm a New Yorker,"
Yeah.
because I am.
Yeah.
And but it was scary, and there was somebody who used to walk with me, and I couldn't know it was so like it was weird. But when I, I was tagged really smart very early as a child, and then as soon as I could figure out how to read, I became obsessive neurotic about reading everything and anything I could find on psychic phenomenon, every religion on the planet, every
Mm.
spiritual thing I could find. I became obsessed with it. And I guess my mother found some of the books in my room and absolutely went nuts because when that incident happened many years ago with my grandmother, my mother became a Christian convert. And I guess she thought I was the devil incarnate or something. And so, yeah, I understood why
Wow.
she she hated me so much. I never told anybody about the things that I saw and heard because I realized, oh, this is gonna like people think I'm really crazy, so I'm not gonna. They already think I'm nuts, so I'm not gonna
Mhm.
say anything, right? So I was very quiet and very shy and didn't talk to people much. Um, but I saw a lot of weird stuff when I was younger and as I got older too. Like when people would pass over and I'd be at a funeral or something. Some people say they feel the presence of. I literally would see them. They would like show up in the corner of the room or something, and like tap me on the shoulder or something weird, and it was kind of unnerving. But they would talk to me. The funny part is that sometimes they were speaking languages that I didn't know, but I knew what they were saying, which was even weird to
Mm.
me. And they were funny conversations usually. They were like most of the time they were laughing at what was going on around, but I couldn't tell anybody because they would think I'm nuts. And I remember um, years later when I was, I think I was in college, and I was leaving my apartment. And in those days, we didn't have those lovely things you young people have, like called cell phones and stuff. So if you made a long distance phone call, you had to actually make an appointment.
That's true.
I'm sure there was another person there.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had a boyfriend who was very far away in a state, in a town where I had never been. I'd never seen pictures of it. I've never seen it at all. And when I was young, things would happen. I would get hit with things. I couldn't see in the future like my grandmother did, but like I would see in real time things happening with real people in real time. And I could describe
Mm.
them, but I've never been there and I wasn't there. But when somebody would tell me about it later, I'd be like, oh crap. I saw that. And it's like, that was like weird. That was weird. Um, so I remember I was in college and this was the one time I sort of like I guess tested it out. Um, I was leaving my apartment with my housemate. We were gonna go out drinking or something. We were college kids, and I got to the front door of my apartment and I got hit with something. And what I saw was my boyfriend, and he was walking over to the phone. And I said to my roommate, I said, I gotta go. We gotta wait a minute. And I said, she's like, why? And I said, because he's about to call. And she said, oh, did you forget he was going to call today? I said, yeah, I forgot he was going to call today. He wasn't supposed to call that day. And literally, just as I said that, the phone rang. And I picked up the phone. I'm like, hey, so what, how you doing? And why did you decide to call? Lucky you. I happened to hear the phone ring. So I came back into the house. I lied. I didn't tell him I saw him going to the phone. And I asked him what possessed him to call when we didn't have an appointment to call. And this is what I saw. He was sitting there playing pool in his barracks. And he looked up and saw the payphone, which is in the room where the pool table is. And you had to make payphone calls back then. And he thought of me and started walking to the phone. That's what he told me he was doing. That's what I saw when I got to the front door of my apartment, which was really kind of weird. But when he told me that, I was like, oh, okay.
Goosebumps.
Can't say anything to anybody here because I'm a little strange, you know. So yeah, 15 years ago, I was like in this really bad place, and I thought, I need to do something. And this weird gift of mine that I've always sort of semi-ignored because I just kept thinking it just made me weirder. Um, I decided it was the only thing that maybe I could save my life. So I started doing a lot of self-healing and digging deep into myself. And what I found was, wow, my core light. And this is a light that every human has ever crossed into this existence, has come to this world with. This beautiful core light that everybody knows exists because they all know that when they were little coming into this world, everything was beautiful. Everything was bright. Nothing was a no. Nothing was impossible. Nothing was bad. That's our light. That's our core. And when I found it again, it just said to me, I've been here the whole damn time if you just bothered to look. And who do you think kept you alive all this time? And I finally realized also that something that was told to me around the same time that I found out my grandmother was a clairvoyant. I used to go to these crazy psychic fairs and things just for the hell of it. And I never would tell anybody anything when I would meet with somebody just to see if they really were true. And I remember sitting with this shaman one time. And like I told you, I mean, I spent most of my life trying to leave this life. And I never told anybody that. I just did. And I sat down with this shaman and she looks at me and the first words out of her mouth was, look, the universe is not going to let you do it. So just stop. Like, what are you talking about? She said, just stop. It's not your time and the universe isn't going to let you do it. So just stop. You're here for a reason. But me? Here for a reason? What the hell reason could I be here for? I'm a little nobody, you know, I'm very quiet, I'm very shy. I don't like even talking to people. I don't like being around people I mean, you know, I don't even have a whole lot of friends and, you know, like the kind of thing. I don't hang out with people. Well, me? What are you, crazy? You know? And she said, no, you have to because it's your life. Your life. You have a message. It's your life. You have to understand that. So just shut up and stop doing it. Oh my God. I mean, I never told anybody about my crazy things. Everybody just thought I was really weird, but I used to literally curse out cars because they missed me in the street. I was that crazy. So like here I is 50 years ago, and I'm like, I need to save myself. And I got back and I found that little core light. And she was still smiling at me. And when I realized I was willing to see her again, to let her back into my life, it was like, whoa, amazing stuff started happening. I broke through this weird cocoon of all these stories that I had buried myself alive in there. And I actually, for the first time in my life, wanted to live. And I
Wow.
was excited and thrilled And then I started remembering all these other times when I thought things were going to be at their worst, and they weren't. They were fine. And being empathic and intuitive was not a curse.
Mm.
It was my gift. It was the gift when I realized all the careers that I have had, all the different things I've done over my years, many years of being alive. And honestly, I've had more careers in my life than most people have had in their families. Well, I realized that every one of them that I did, the reason I was so good at doing them, and the reason I gave so much value to each of the careers I did was because of me. Because of the fact that I was empathic, and because of the fact that I was intuitive, because of the fact I just knew the right things to do when they needed to be done.
Mm.
And I thought about all the crash and burn times. And the more I thought about it, I realized, no, life is really about waves. It's not about ages and stages. Because if you think about a wave, everybody thinks, oh, the wave is crashing. Well, it's not really crashing. It's actually just coming down to rest and re-energize and build up the energy to rise even higher. So if you realize that, then, when things start rolling down, it's not so scary because it's something bigger, better, wonderful is coming, And when I thought about all the different times in my life that I thought was happening, every time it rose bigger, brighter, and better.
Mm-hmm.
Every time. It blew me away to think about that. And yeah, so I started healing myself, and I realized, broke out the cocoon. I realized I really actually wanted to live. I realized, life is great. And that all the terrible things that I thought was so terrible when I was younger were actually, in some ways, not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said, don't you regret all the things that happened? Wouldn't you want to change them? I said, no. Because if I did, I wouldn't be who I am. So yeah, I was left homeless, jobless, and penniless, and literally in somebody else's debt. Literally, at the time I couldn't even beg my way into a hamburger slinging job. Nobody would hire me. And I could be very bitter about it. But truthfully, it taught me that I was so much better than I ever thought I was.
Mm.
It taught me that I was so much more than I ever thought I was. It taught me that I can be resilient and that nothing in the goddamn world can stop me because of who I am. So that every time after that, when anybody threatened me with, oh my God, you're not going to have money, you're not going to have this, I never got scared anymore. And I used to be pretty terrified of it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't grow up with money. I grew up very, very poor. So literally everything that I ever had in my whole life, I paid for, including my schooling. I paid for my own college out of my own earnings. I mean, like, that was a fear. And I didn't have that fear anymore. I was free from that fear. So I can't regret it, I mean, I can't regret my 25-year marriage, even though it was mentally very abusive, because I got 3 amazing human beings out of the deal. And when I think about their contribution to the world right now, I think, oh my God, what if I didn't do that? What if I didn't do that? Then these 3 amazing souls would not be here on this planet doing wonderful things, being good for good people, and making things and life amazing for others. And I thought, wow, I mean, you can't regret that, right?
No. And then all you have done, because you really, put yourself into your own power place, by letting go of this notion of wanting to leave this world and instead embracing life. And now you're here supporting so many people as well.
Yeah. So like that was the cool thing is that once I decided, oh, I really like life and I think I'm going for this. And okay, universe, I get you now. Took me a while. Sorry. It's almost 60 years for me to figure this out. But I got you. I got you. And it's cool. Bring it on. That's when I actually met my soulmate.
Mm.
So I got married when I was 60 to somebody for the first time. We both were joking that we both were marrying for the right reasons finally. And because both of us were each other's third. And um it was funny. But when we met, we couldn't figure out why we were so comfortable with each other, literally from the minute we met, that we were practically finishing each other's sentences, which was kind of weird. It's sort of like running into an old friend that you haven't seen in forever, and you just, you're already in sync, right? That was the weird part about it. So we were totally, totally obsessed with the fact that we must have known each other sometime during our lifetime because we were both, born and bred New Yorkers. He left New York years ago, and I left New York initially years ago with the idea that I would never come back, and I ended up getting stuck back here. And it was really funny because we literally went through every minute of our timeline to try and figure out where we met. And here's the weird part. We actually had parallel timelines, to the point that in some places we were in the same place at the same time but didn't know it. Is that odd? So I
Completely.
always believe the universe, you just got to roll with what the universe tells us
Yes.
because it has a better plan. I don't know why, but it has a better plan than we do. And I realized it was waiting till I was in the right place, and he was in the right place for us, allowing us to see each other. Because I
Mm.
literally met him in the last place in the world I would have ever met anybody. Because where I met him, I wouldn't have been caught dead in. And the only reason why I was even there was because somebody dragged me there. And the only reason I met him was because the person who dragged me there kind of accosted this poor, what I thought, poor young musician, who was in a local rock and roll band. She was like accosting this poor kid as he was trying to leave the club with his band. And I thought, what a nice young man. He wasn't going to hit her or anything in this crazy hipster club. He was being sweet and a nice mensch and a nice young man and understanding and laughing. Who knew it? Who knew? It turned out he was a senior citizen doctor, not a freaking homeless musician, rock and roll guitarist, which he was a rock and roll guitarist. He still is a rock and roll guitarist, but he was really actually a senior citizen doctor, which was pretty funny because he thought I was some young kid because I know I don't look age.
Are
And
you are you both Asians?
no, no, he's a nice Jewish, Polish Russian Jewish boy from Brooklyn. And
Wow.
and and the funny part was like he thought I was this young kid and he didn't know I was the senior citizen professor at a university.
So you're both sort of like seniors and don't know it.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was very, it was like, and it was funny because we both almost said it in stereo when we finally did got to dinner. We went, I'm finally home.
Mm.
So the universe it does send us where we need to be. It does bring us to people that need to
Mm.
be there. But half the time we're not even looking because half the time We've built up so many false stories, labels, and defenses that we stop seeing. So yeah, that's what I started devoting myself to, because especially because I was older and I was being put out to pasture too. So, um, I got tired of seeing people allowing this to be burying them alive. And I didn't want to see that happen anymore, because it doesn't make sense when you think about it. All right. I mean,
Mhm.
if you turned 60, and I'm way, way past 60 now, but if you're turning 60, you've got a good 40 to 50 years to go. Think about that. 40 to 50, not 10, not 20, 40 to 50 years to go. That's a bloody lifetime.
Yeah.
So why do we let society bully us into believing we need to go quiet in the dark, that we have one foot in the grave? We don't. I mean, do I look like I got one foot in the grave?
No. No, but that's what I love, and that's why also why I asked about his ethnicity,
Ethnicity.
because yeah, because you know how the universe doesn't see that and I just wanted to bring that out because it's all about our core values, or not even values per se. It's more of our core vibration. That would be the right word. Our core
Exactly.
vibration, and it doesn't matter from where we're from, what language we speak, you know, because speaking to the dead that you were seeing, in the end, once we have that vibration, you know, we have, and we can attune to each other, and we can find the ones that are on our vibration. It's not about, you know, it's not a difference. It's basically just a difference of vibrations. Are we on the same vibe or not? And if it's not, it's
Exactly.
okay. And if we are, it's amazing. So why don't we create
Exactly.
things together? And it's beautiful. Oh.
I mean, as an educator, that was the one thing that I always kept teaching in my classes. You're humans. Will you stop saying you're black, you're white, you're this, you're that? Okay, you are. Big deal. You're
Yeah.
humans. And until we start accepting that we are humans and stop um, encouraging and stop perpetuating the stupidity. And it is stupid, guys, because I used to be a science teacher at one time too. And I'm an international English educator. But why do we keep perpetuating the stupidity? And it really is stupid, sorry. But the stupidity of the idea that we are different races. There is actually only one bloody ass race, and even Bill Nye the Science Guy will tell you this. There's one stinking race. It's
Yeah.
called the human race. And until we start accepting that we are only one race, humans, we're going to constantly be in conflict, because that's what people who are not vibrating at high levels want us to be. Because when you're in conflict, you vibrate at a much lower frequency. But think about this. I don't understand why nobody can accept that we're humans or embrace that we're humans. We all embrace the concept that that flowers are flowers, don't we? Right?
Yeah.
We all embrace flowers are flowers. You see it? You see any of them? That's a flower. It's a nice flower, pretty flower, ugly flower. It's a flower. It smells good, doesn't smell so good. It's a flower. It's this color, it's that color. It's still a goddamn flower,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And think about this. Flowers come in every shape and size. Flowers come in every color of the rainbow. Flowers come with every different nuance of smells. And we celebrate them. We embrace them. We think they're the most beautiful things in the world. Who wouldn't want to get a flower? Any kind of flower. It makes you happy, right? It makes us excited because flowers are beautiful things. Well, humans are the same thing. Humans are beautiful. We come in all different shapes and sizes. We sound different. We look different. We come in all sorts of colors of the rainbow. We come in all different smells and shapes. But they're all beautiful. So we should be celebrating the beauty, the gorgeous bouquet, right? You wouldn't want all the flowers to look exactly the same. Be boring as hell. You wouldn't want them to all white, be ugly as shit.
Yeah.
No, we celebrate it. So why can't we celebrate humankind? And I think we are slowly marching, hopefully marching towards celebrating humankind in all its beauty, in all its glorious colors, in all its delicious vibrancy. You know, whether we're young or we're older, it's all beautiful. And to tell older people like me, we're old and we should be one foot in the grave and we should be marching towards our death. The dumbest thing I ever heard.
Yes.
I mean, you know, in the 20th century, lifespan has doubled.
Yeah.
That's added more years than the whole millennial before it.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a child, if somebody turned 100, the damn president in the United States called you up.
Yeah, I bet.
Serious. It did. They did.
Yeah.
You know, now if somebody says they turned 100, we go, oh, that's kind of nice.
That's true.
If they turn maybe 110, 120, we're like, ooh, that's interesting. So why are we marching ourselves towards our death?
Yeah.
Why are we making bucket lists? Stop making damn bucket lists. It's the dumbest concept that has ever been created. Stop saying you're retired. What? You like the money. Okay, take the money. Doesn't mean you have to call yourself retired. That's a very negatively charged word, extremely negatively charged word. And that's something that I've been finding since I started working just with my generation. That even the ones that believe I'm doing a better retirement, I'm having a better retirement, I'm doing better. I'm not going to be like that. I'm positive about my retirement. Retirement is not a negative word or concept. It's very positive for me. Do you know every one of them? Ultimately, it won't be a money block, an abundance block, or a life block. It always is that word. And when you remove the word, their abundance continues to flow. The money continues to flow. Their health continues to flow. But if you keep the word, it all turns to shit. Ultimately, when they did the longevity studies, the ones who were in their hundreds, not one of them bought into retirement or the concept. Not one of them built bucket lists. Not one of them lived their life for their death. Somebody once asked me, do I deny that humans will die someday? And that is the dumbest thing to ever ask. Of course, the human body will expire someday. But the truth is, you don't know when that's going to be. So why are you living your life?
Yeah.
For it? I mean, you could die at 20 for crying out loud and get hit by a bus tomorrow. But you don't live your life for your death, do you? So why should you be living your life for your death because you're over 60 or 70 or 80? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Because you don't know when that's going to be.
Yeah, and also the thing, I love that you're mentioning this part about, well, I, for fun, I said, I always say I retired, when was that? 5 years ago from my corporate job. I went into retirement to live a lifelong vacation. I'm on vacation because I love what I do. I have a passion for everything that I do. And I was just talking about with some friends because I just took a week of vacation, and I was doing so much sightseeing that didn't get time to do my job things that I love. And I was like, I was not feeling happy. That was not a good vacation for me because I wasn't doing what I love. And
You,
and I
you
think
got to
that's
stop saying you're retired.
exactly. I'm on vacation.
You're not retired. You could say, I'm reigniting.
Exactly.
That's a much better word. Because the truth is, if you're not a work in progress, you're not living.
Oh, everybody
What's like
listening
being a work
in,
in
take that
progress?
sentence. Take that sentence in. If you
If
are
you're
not
not a work in progress,
working,
you're not living. So why are you living for your death? Live for your life. You know, I said to somebody,
mm,
look, when we were younger, if we got let go from a job, we got a really nice severance pay package, didn't we? Right? You took the damn money. Of course you took the money. Why not? You earned it. But you didn't call yourself severanced. So why the hell are you calling yourself retired? Because you took a
yeah,
bit of money that somebody wanted to label retirement money. Take it. It was money that was owed you.
yeah.
But you don't have to call yourself tired. That's crazy. Because even the ones who think that they're having a better retirement, unconsciously, at the core, that word is vibrating at a very low rate. So every time you try to keep moving really forward, it's going to stop you because you're retired.
Mm.
So why do you want to tell the universe that? Tell the universe I'm reigniting. I always jokingly say, I'm reincarnating. This is my newest reincarnation.
I like that. That is actually good. This is my
Somebody
new
said to
life.
me, yeah. Somebody said to me, why do you have so many careers? Is because you were trying to find your purpose. It's a horrible, stupid catchword young people use. But no, I wasn't trying to find my purpose. I was having a bloody good time. I thought I wanted to do something, so I did it. It was on my life list. And I did it. And I did it really well. And I really did it and enjoyed it. And when I stopped enjoying doing it, I found another thing to do that I thought I might enjoy. And I had a great time doing it every
Mm.
time. And then when I felt it wasn't really fun, I did something that was even more fun. And that's why I had so many careers. It wasn't because I'm trying to find my purpose. I know my purpose. My purpose is because I needed to be here. And that's what I'm doing because I needed
Mm.
to live and I needed to show people how to live.
I love that so much. This is really great. So how did you because we're you were just saying, to show people how to live. How does working with you look like today?
So, what I do is I am an energy accelerator, an energy healer, and I am a life coach. Um, I realized a couple things. One, I have this gift that I can help people, and I use I call them guided meditations.
Mm.
I use my gift as a healer, as an energy guider to help people tap that core that they long forgot it ever existed. Part of the problem is that as we get older, we have this silly little notion of defining ourselves by the last 20 years of our life, or the last job,
Mm.
or the last relationship. But not for nothing. If you're 70 years old and you're defining yourself by the last 20 years of your life, what the hell happened to the other 50?
Mm-hmm.
Which number is bigger? I mean, in my mathematical brain, 50 is a hell of a lot bigger than 20. So why are you defining yourself by such a short little blip in time? And when you think about it, it's just a blip. You're so much more. Just like I was told years ago, I was so much more. And so what I do is, I help heal them, and we break through all the cocoons of all the lies and false stories, and we rewrite the narratives, and we find that core. I help them to tap back into that unbelievably intense energy at their core,
Beautiful.
so that it can guide them again. Because honestly, that's the thing that's been keeping them alive all this time, through all the ups and all the downs. Who the hell did they think was keeping them alive? That was what was keeping them alive. And when you tap into that and you embrace it again, it's like, it's nice. It's really nice. It's like, the punch like that. But the other problem that I found was that, especially with people my age and older, is when we tapped into that beautiful core, there was a lot of healers out there who helped us heal. But then once we healed, now what do we do? I got this whole list of life list things I want to do that I always wanted to do. But instead, what we're told is, I don't know, you're a little old for that. Why are you even trying to think about that? Maybe you should do something slower. I mean, you're not getting younger and your body's going to start debilitating and all this bullshit. And I realized that's also nonsense.
Yeah.
And there was not too many people out there willing to help us older folk. They were willing to help us walk towards our death and make bucket lists, but nobody was willing to help us march towards our life and into our light. So that's what I started doing. I started helping people break that cocoon, hold themselves up, and spread their butterfly wings so they can fly.
That is so beautiful. So for everybody tuning in, if you resonate with Judy, we're going to put all the links in the show notes in the description so that you can find her if you feel like, oh my God, I want her to ignite my energy. You can just go ahead, just scroll down in your show notes or look into the description of the video if you're looking on the video. Yeah. Judy, I would love to talk more, but sometimes we have to have a look at the time a little bit. But do you have like one last wisdom that wants to come through you, that wants to be said to our audience, to our viewers?
Listen to the whispers of your soul. Wisdom is knowing you're getting older, but you're not old. So live life for living. The alternative is really no fun. Live life for living. Make as many life lists as you can, and please stop making bucket lists.
I love this so much. Judy, thank you so much for your wisdom, for sharing, for being here on the podcast. This was amazing, for sharing your life story, and I hope others can really, really win from this. So everybody listening in and watching us on YouTube, please leave us a comment. What was your biggest takeaway of today's interview? What was, your highlight? What inspired you? We would love to know. And let us know either in the comments or send us an email. We would love to hear. Thank you so much. And thank you for everybody for listening in and being here and sharing our energy field today. As always, keep surfing your energy wave. Bye, everybody.